Yahoo Fantasy Auto Racing Week 28 in the Tucson Racing League. The AAA 400 was held on Sunday at the 1 Mile Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. The Dover International Speedway was the host to the second race in the chase for the Sprint Cup. The week's results, the top five coming out of Dover. Jimmy Johnson picks up his first win of the chase and moves himself into second place overall in points with the victory. He was followed by Jeff Burton, Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, and Carl Edwards. In the point standings, Denny Hamlin holds on to the points lead. He now holds a 35-point lead over the winner, Johnson, with Kyle Busch in third, 45 points out. Fourth, Kurt Busch, 59 points out. And fifth is Kevin Harvick, 65 points out at first. Some of the race notes from the event. Clint Bowyer, actually prior to this event, Clint Bowyer picked up a massive penalty after the Loudon race last weekend. His car was deemed too low on the rear end in post-race inspection. That was a 150-point penalty for Bowyer. That led to an incident in practice between Bowyer's teammate Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin. Bowyer, now 12th in points, over 180 points out going into the event, was criticized by Denny Hamlin over the week for what Hamlin called a consistent pattern of cheating by Richard Childress Racing, the team that Bowyer and Kevin Harvick both race for. So, Friday, opening practice. As soon as they took to the track, Kevin Harvick rear-ended Denny Hamlin multiple times and then clipped his front end, leading to the two having an altercation in the garage area after NASCAR parked them for the practice session. Neither driver has backed down with their public statements after the event, after the incident either. So this could become a side story to the chase, as these three drivers definitely have no love lost for each other going forward. In the actual event, though, Jimmy Johnson wound up winning the pole. Mark Martin was penalized in qualifying, would have had a top 10 start, but wound up having to start 42nd. He, however, would rally for a top 15 finish, which was very impressive. Ryan Newman and David Rudiman were really in the only on-track incident between multiple drivers. Newman and Rudiman basically racing for the same ground on the racetrack caused Rudiman to go up into the wall, and his day was pretty much over from there. He would continue on the lead lap, but at a very slow pace and would lose a lot of laps to the leaders by the end of the event. AJ Allmendinger was dominant for the first 25% of this race. He absolutely smoked the field for the first fourth of the event, but he picked up a flat tire, had to pit, and never found his way back up to the lead. He would wind up finishing 10th. A big part of that was the fact that right after he got a flat, there was a caution flag, which bogged him in traffic the rest of the event. Tony Stewart continued to have woes in his chase for the championship. Last week, he ran out of gas on the final lap. This week, he picked up a speeding penalty on pit road under green flag pit stops, which put him in the 30s. Stewart would fail to recover from that. Matt Kenseth, another chaser in trouble, he missed pit road trying to get onto it under the green flag conditions. This wound up causing him to have to go back around to try to get back to pit road, and on his way around, he actually blew a tire, which he flat spotted trying to get to pit road in the first place, causing Kenseth to bring out a caution. Martin Truex was another major contender at what is essentially his home racetrack. Truex was in the top 5 to start the event and was running there, but wound up with a mechanical issue, actually broke the track bar in his car and wound up going behind the wall. Jimmy Johnson wound up dominating the event after Allmendinger was pushed to the side. Johnson would relinquish the lead with about 100 to go to Kyle Busch as a result of some caution flag pit stops, but Johnson would emerge with about 60 laps to go. Johnson pretty much owned the event. So Jimmy Johnson in a dominant victory, definitely making a statement. In the Tucson Racing League, a statement was made this week by The Wall Always Wins. The Wall picks up their 6th win of the season with a very bad score for a winner. 265 points was enough to get it done this week, as most everybody had a miserable week with their starting lineups. The Wall Always Wins found success with 3 drivers in the top 10, was the only team in the league to pull that off. Had 6th Kyle Busch, 8th Ryan Newman, and 10th AJ Allmendinger, and was saddled with David Rudiman's 35th. Still enough to get it done. by beating Kane Rules. Kane Rules out of nowhere winds up finishing second this week, only 8 points out of the lead. Kane Rules started Kurt Busch for 4th and Paul Menard for 7th out of Group C, as Menard was the best of the C class this week. And then had Kevin Harvick for a mediocre 15th, and David Rudiman struggles with 35th. Puts Kane Rules second this week in an impressive top 5. Third this week, Whoa, a left turn with 245 points, 20 points out of first place. Had only one driver in the top 10, that was A.J. Allmendinger in 10th. And then had 11th Jeff Gordon, 18th Matt Kenseth, and 25th Clint Boyer. Fourth this week was Hulk Smash with 238 points, 27 points out of first. Had two drivers in the top 10 with Jimmy Johnson first and Ryan Newman 8th, but had two drivers in the 30s with David Rudiman 35th and Sam Hornish with a very disappointing 36th. Rounding out the top 5, High, Wide, and Handsome once again scores the top 5, picks up 236 points this week, 29 out of first. Had a top 10 from Ryan Newman, who finished 8th. Jamie McMurray came home 13th. Greg Biffle out of Group A was a disappointing 19th. And Regan Smith was 26th. 6th this week in the league, Greek Thunder with just 216 points. Finished 49 off the pace. Had a top 10 from Ryan Newman and an 11th from Jeff Gordon, but then started Clint Boyer in 25th and Scott Speed in 32nd. 7th this week, very disappointing finish for Lightning McQueen, an opportunity to really capitalize as a lot of other teams struggled and possibly close that 300-point gap as it stands now. McQueen only scores 213 points and continues to lose ground this week, losing 23 more points to High, Wide, and Handsome. Lightning McQueen did not have a driver in the top 10. Best finisher was Jeff Gordon in 11th. Then had Jamie McMurray 13th, Regan Smith 26th, and 34th Martin Truex. 8th this week was Team Edwards, the driver, with a miserable 176 points. 89 points out of first place, mainly in part to the fact that they started Denny Hamlin without any starts remaining. So no points in Group A is never going to get it done. Did have a second place out of Jeff Burton to try to salvage some points, but then had disappointment out of Brad Keselowski, who was 22nd, and Regan Smith in 26th. And the other team that failed to start a full lineup this week, 9th place goes to Oh No, a Blowout, with just 140 points, 125 out of first. Did not start a B driver, instead started Dale Earnhardt Jr. with no starts remaining and got 0 points there. Best finisher was Jeff Gordon in 11th, and then had the disappointing Clint Boyer in 25th, and the 32nd place finish from Scott Speed. In the overall standings, High, Wide, and Handsome now holds a 300-point lead on Lightning McQueen with just 8 races remaining. Third right now is Hulk Smash, 450 points out of first, 150 out of second. Fourth right now is The Wall Always Wins, 552 points out of first, but only 102 out of third. Greek Thunder rounds out the top 5, 881 points out of first place, with Team Edwards 106 points behind Greek Thunder in that battle for 5th. Right now, 7th is pretty much a walk with Whoa, a left turn, now 2,306 points out of first, but also now has a 280-plus point lead on 8th. Oh no, a blowout. And then rounding out the field, 9th place, Kane Rules, who's just under 5,000 points out of first. Next week is week 29 in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series and the Yahoo Fantasy Auto Racing League. The Kansas Speedway will be the home to the Price Chopper 400, the 1.5-mile cookie-cutter racetrack just outside of Kansas City, will be home to the event. The pool for your drivers will lock on Friday at 2 in the morning, and your starters will lock Sunday at 10 a.m. So we'll hope to see you back next week for another recap as we talk about week 29 in the Tucson Racing League.